Today on Locked On Red Wings, Scotty and I are going to recap the weekend. A little bit of hot, a little bit of cold there. And then we're going to talk about the Simon Edvinsson signing his entry-level contract with the Detroit Red Wings.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty also hosts over at Locked On Tigers. I want to thank you guys for making us your first listen every single day. We are free and available on all platforms. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Scotty, yeah, fantastic Sunday for yours truly. Not so much for you. I don't know if that's true.
Okay,
falsehoods out in the world.
All right. Did I have a bad Sunday?
I mean, I assume so. Probably bad for you because you did finally meet me in person, and I probably didn't live up to your expectations.
No,
although
you're way cuter in person, honestly.
Thank you. Although I think my expectations of your height were probably a bit, exaggerated because I always hear how much you're going to tower over. And like Nolan, when he first met you, was like, oh my God, you're huge. You're about the same height as my roommate. So I think that also helped. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, I've dealt with this size before.
Yeah, I'm not 7 feet tall. Yeah.
No, you're not. I kind of was like, is he going to be like 6'11"? Like this guy's kind of, I hear he's a giant.
Not like that.
No, but it was a great day. I mean, I woke up. I recorded the intermission interview with Jim Costa for 97 won the ticket, so I was on the Red Wings broadcast. Went to the Tigers game. They lost 6-2, but whatever. First baseball game I attended as a fan in literal years. And then met you for the first time ever. Sick. And then hung out with my friends afterwards. Played a hockey game where we had 6 players and the other team had 12, and we won 4-3, and I was forced to play forward. And now I'm here.
And you got a dub, though.
We got a dub. We won 4-3.
So when are we hitting up elite prospects? And
I don't think my beer league stats are going to be.
No, when are we hitting up elite prospects and talking about changing that retired to unretired?
Let's go right now. I'm going to petition elite prospects to do that ASAP.
Yeah, I'm down. I think it's the move.
Let's get on it. I wonder how. I don't even know how to go about do that. I'm not even responsible for my elite prospects page being created. I just found out that it was made on the bus ride back after those 3-4 games I spent with them. So I wonder how I go about to being like hooking them up, be like, guys, I'm unretired. I'm professional tryout. Let's go.
You send them a fax like Jordan did. It just says I'm back.
That would be so baller, but I don't know if anyone has a fax machine anymore.
I also don't think anyone at Elite Prospects would know what was going on.
I don't even know the profile picture.
Dude, what do you mean he's back? He's back from what?
Who is it? Back from what? Oh, but yeah, I just had a really good Sunday, man. I had a really good weekend overall. Last Red Wings home game we played on Saturday and crushed it in sales. It was fantastic.
Yeah, man, that place was bumping.
Yeah, so it was just a great weekend. Not so much for the Red Wings on Saturday, but pretty good on Sunday. And we got to talk about that. But first, I do want to talk to you guys about. I'm not going into an ad read. I kind of realized as I was saying that it sounded like I was.
On.
I did. I had my ad read voice on. I did want to talk to you guys today about Simon Edvinsson signing his 3-year entry-level contract. And that is probably bigger news than any result of any game at this point in the season, Scotty.
I mean, yeah. Like you said, especially at the current point in the season that we're on. I mean, my goodness, that was a awesome tweet to just get pushed across my phone notifications there in the middle. Was I on my way to Comerica or was I already there?
I think we were there because we were sitting across from each other at Comerica Park, and you DM'd me the tweet when I was sitting there.
I did. Well, I did definitely DM'd it to you at the game. So yeah, it was. I mean, awesome news, and I guess now the conversation is like, what? I mean, now he's on Red Wings timeline. right?
Yeah.
Like it's no longer like, oh, he can wait in the wings and we can kind of wait to call him up whenever we feel like he's ready or service. Like now he is on Red Wings time, service time. He's obviously not in the NHL yet, but as far as like who's cutting his checks and everything, like he is on the Red Wings clock now.
So that is going to be fully dependent too. Like his clock, he's on his entry level contract, but the clock's not actually ticking yet.
Correct. Yeah. I don't mean his service time is obviously not because he's not on.
But now he's an organizational player. He's not just a draftee.
Yeah.
He's in the organization. He is going to be coming overseas next year, at least playing with Grand Rapids. The question is does he make the NHL roster? Is he NHL ready rather? He has, so at 19 years old, and he turned 19 in February. So at 19 years old, he can play up to 9 or 10 games at the NHL level before his entry-level contract kicks in. So, and that starts next season. We're not seeing him this year, guys. His entry-level contract is for the 2022-2023 season. That's the first year. But if he doesn't play at least 9 or 10 NHL games, the start of that is pushed back. And I believe the start can be pushed back 2 years. So really, it's a 3-year entry-level contract, but if he's not ready this year or next year, it can be pushed back. If my understanding of how entry-level contracts work for guys of age 19 like he is, he'd have to turn 20 by like September for the rules to change around him. It's very touchy on guys when it comes to their age. But because I think he turned 19 in February, he's going to be 19 by the time September rolls around. So he can play 9 or 10 games at the NHL level before the clock officially starts ticking.
Right.
That's where the question becomes it's really going to come down to how ready he is. Like, you're not going to put him in Grand Rapids if he is just NHL ready at the start of the training camp. But, how soon does that clock get ticking on him, especially with how great of a season he had over in the SHL, again, Professional Hockey League, where he is a nominee for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because at this time last year, I would have adamantly disagreed with anybody who said Raymond was going to be on the opening night roster last fall. And I think most people did. And credit to Nolan Bianchi because he was from like March. He was like, yeah, like Raymond's going to be on the opening night roster. And it was like, whoa.
That's a take.
Yeah. And like, sure enough, he was right. And it's one of those things where today I'd be like, yeah, like I would pencil him down as the top line defenseman in Grand Rapids on opening night this upcoming fall. Like that would be my assumption. But I mean, we saw Raymond. He had a good camp. Blashill liked him. Yzerman has obviously liked him. And he's on the roster on opening night. He's getting legitimate minutes on opening night, not even just like on the roster or whatever.
In the SHL this year from last year, he went from getting 4 minutes a night to being one of the most reliable defenders on the back end. He was getting, I think, I'd have to double check on this, but he was getting second most or most minutes out of any defender on the SHL roster. He had 19 points in 44 games played in the regular season. And then that was only 2 points behind the team lead in points from the defensive end. The top defender, Jens Olsen, had 21 points in 52 games played. Simon Edvinsson, who played 8 less games, had 2 points less. And Simon Edvinsson in this season was also a plus 13, which led the entire team, only tied with Nicholas Lassu. So, and again, I know that plus minus, Scotty, is kind of more of a team stat than it is an individual stat. But there is something to be said, however minimal, that Simon Edvinsson, as a rookie at the SHL level, had some of the most minutes out of any player, was second most in defensive points with 8 less games played, and led the entire team in plus minus as a rookie in the SHL level. He had a phenomenal D+1 year with the Frölunda team.
Yeah, I mean, we've been hearing about it all season, and obviously the awards and everything that he's in the running for. It's I don't know, man. Like, and certainly some of it will have to do with what kind of free agency period we have, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a big difference between not big difference, but there would be a big change in plans if we landed completely just revamped the entire defense and maybe landed a couple of guys on the blue line versus going in there with a relatively similar group. Like, I feel like that would open up the door a lot more for Edvinsson. And it's really hard to say right now, but after what happened with Raymond from whatever May to opening night last year, I'm not going to say anything's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely not. I wonder, do you think, Scotty, that betonline.net has the odds for Simon Edvinsson to make the opening night roster next season?
Probably not currently, but I'd imagine at some point they will.
Yeah, maybe in the summer they'll update with some of those odds. BetOnline.net, guys, is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Segment 2 here, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty and I are riffing about the fact that Simon Edvinsson has signed his 3-year entry-level contract with the Detroit Red Wings. And I feel like I've said most of my piece about where I feel on that. I could see him making the NHL roster next year, but if he's not, I'm not going to be too worried, if he has to start off in the AHL. Another guy that people are saying is right behind him on signing his entry-level contract is going to be Elmer Soderblom, and I'm absolutely not surprised. He's a couple years older than Simon Edvinsson is, obviously, but he has grown phenomenally this year, especially. He was third on that same for Lunda team in total points. He had 33 points in 52 games played. He just, for a guy of his size, his hands has grown phenomenally. I mean, again, 6'8", 250 freaking pounds, only 20 years old. He'll turn 21 this July. He's going to get his, as this 6th round pick is going to get his entry level contract. And man, I hesitate to say he'll be NHL ready next season, but he definitely looks like he is on the path to the National Hockey League. And whenever you feel warm and fuzzy anytime you see a guy who is drafted in the 6th round lighted up in a professional hockey league, and then possibly, not even possibly, I will say at this point, it's probable he'll make his debut in an NHL Red Wings uniform either this year coming up or the year after that. Like, it just 6th round pick. Come on, it's great.
Yeah, no, those are always fun stories. But I think that, I mean, we're seeing very quickly that he can provide some legitimate value to a team, especially.
He is what Michael Rasmussen should have been.
Right, exactly. It's not planning for him to be here and make a huge impact next year, but I mean, 2 seasons from now, if this team's taken some steps forward and is in a playoff hunt and somebody gets hurt and they need somebody to fill in, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's legitimate roles that will need to be filled even when this team is trying to make playoff pushes and is no longer in the playing for nothing for the last month and a half of the season. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of guys that will need to step up for those seasons as well. And I mean, why not? You know,
I mean, you have a guy who is 2 inches taller than Michael Rasmussen. And I don't know what Michael Rasmussen's weight is off the top of my head here, but probably a good, he's about, oh my God, he's like 15 pounds heavier than Michael Rasmussen. Taken 5 rounds later, and who is a very, I won't say like a super smooth and fast skater, but it's like, for his size, a pretty good skater. And his that's one of the things that I think Mikhail Holmes said it improved most about him is his stride. And a guy his size, having the vision on the ice that he has, and his the hands that he has, he is quite literally, he could be that, tooly guy. You can put in any role. You can put him on the penalty kill. You can put him on the power play. And I'm not trying to jump the gun on a guy who's only played in the SHL, but he's just, I'm so pumped to see the growth that he has had. So pumped.
Yeah, I'm pumped for. I mean, this is what we have to be pumped about, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is with the current status and state of the NHL team. This is what we have to be pumped about is these kind of dudes and their performances and such. So, yeah, it's awesome. It's beyond awesome. And no matter where they're playing next year, I'm pumped to watch.
Yeah, and it really does too soften the blow from At least the first of those two back-to-backs this past week. In the finale at Little Caesars Arena, the Red Wings played at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins, a very good Penguins team. We didn't preview either of these games on Friday's episode. We've seen these teams so many times this year, guys. Devils not so much, but we know what these teams are, so we really didn't feel the need to have to preview them. But recapping them, man. So Saturday was exactly what we expected out of the Red Wings at this point in the season. Defense was non-existent. They're playing a dynamite team. They lost 7-2. They showed a little bit of signs of life in the middle there, but man, the Penguins just picked them apart, and every single flaw that we saw out of the Red Wings was prevalent in that game.
Yeah, like tenfold. That was not enjoyable. I was thankfully in Comerica Park all day Saturday, but went back and it's so funny what like the ways that I will watch and like and like prep for this show and stuff. Like the fact that we gave up 7, and after I got home from the second game of a doubleheader in which I was in Comerica Park for like 10 hours straight, where I was like, oh, like time to watch the Red Wings when I already know the score and know we gave up 7 goals. Like time to watch this game and break this down.
Watch the last 5 minutes of the first and the first 5 minutes of the second, and you got to see a little bit of good hockey.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the only time. Like I don't.
That's pretty much it.
But do I bother showing the?
How many goals did we give up the last time we played them? Didn't we give up like an 11 burger?
Oh, burger? I've never heard that before.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 11 goals. That's right.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I feel like
that game.
We gave up 11 last time, and that was at home, wasn't it?
No, that was in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Well, because remember the first time these two teams played, Moritz Seider bullied the hell out of Sidney Crosby, and we were riding a little bit of a high because they won in a shootout.
And like, obviously, we're all still pumped about Seider, but
yeah, no, I'm not trying to say we are, but
yeah, I remember that was what 3-4 weeks ago when we gave up that 11. When we gave up 11, yeah, that was
not good.
Well, the Pens have our number. You know that you can say that with some confidence. The Pittsburgh Penguins know how to beat the Detroit Red Wings.
Yes, and there are two individual. Two things for sure. A third thing we can kind of wrap into the game against New Jersey is Joe Veleno continues to get top line minutes and be effective. I'll say effective is a good word. I won't say he's been great. I mean, he's been thrust into a role he's probably not quite prepared for, but he's been an effective substitute first-line player, even in this game, in a game in which no player had a 47%, or no player had an above 50% expected goals for percentage. Joe Veleno had, relative to his teammates, like a positive 18 expected goal, or not 18 expected goals, but expected goals for percentage relative to his teammates. So he, comparatively to his teammates, was a positive asset in this game. But overall, no one on the team, when on the ice, provided more offense than they were being faced with. And that was just the reality of it. But Joe Veleno, we can talk more about him when we come to the Devils. But Jakub Vrana, Scotty, got another goal in this game. And what I would do to see Jakub Vrana play 82 games, he's currently on pace for, in this season alone, on pace for 45 goals. He's got, 15 goals already in just, ridiculously low amount of games played. Let me just submit form. He's got 23 total games played. He's got 13 goals. He's got 18 points. I mean, yeah, he's 5 games below 500, but for a guy that is playing with next to no help, because this top 6 is absolutely decimated, he's been on fire. It's not even just the goal scoring. Like, you're seeing a little bit of the playmaking ability. Jakub Vrana has been an absolute treat to watch, and one of the few things on this team that have been able to look forward to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about the what he's would be on pace to do after if it was through a full season and such. It's not a day goes by where I don't think about that trade, man.
I know.
Like it's wild. It's so wild that was like something we were just able to do. Like not a single Wings game is watched, dude, especially when he's playing, where I'm just not like, wow, we really did that. We really messed around and did that, man. No, he's a it's a lot more than just production too, because he is clearly one of the most productive players in the entire organization, and on a per rate basis, like comfortably the most productive, right?
Yeah.
Once he gets those games played higher, we'll see if, what's sustainable and what isn't. But on top of the production, I mean, the kid is also just an electric factory. Like, he's just exciting to watch. Like, it's fun hockey because he can score pretty much any way you ask him to. It's remarkable. And I shout out Anthony Mantha, man.
Shout out Anthony Mantha. Well, too, it's like he is very talented at goal scoring. He can score from anywhere on the ice, but he's just a threat with the puck in general. Like, anytime he gets that puck on his stick, he could set up his teammates in a phenomenal fashion as well. But I got to get to another ad read here first, guys. Then we'll continue to talk about, probably move on to the Devils game, because, I mean, we can talk about Rasmussen, but he scored in this Devils game as well. So we might just mold that in the Veleno talk into one cohesive segment there. Got to talk to you guys today about Built Bar. Have you tried their Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of the best tasting Built Bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy. They're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They are a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, and they're low-calorie, high-protein. Replace your candy bar with these. They are better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. Go to Built.com and scroll down to their macros chart. You'll be blown away. High-protein, low-cal, high-fiber, low-carb. But most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to your candy bar that normally has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. At Built.com, they are all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Scotty, segment 3, Monday edition, Locked On Red Wings podcast, entering the final week of the regular season for the Detroit Red Wings. They've been eliminated from playoff contention, so just, I guess, watch these games and hope for the best as they continue to, the team itself doesn't continue to tank, but they're probably up in upper management hoping for the best possible position. But I don't know about you, buddy.
Can we climb any more?
We're at 8th right now. 8th best odds. That's not tankathon. Here we go.
I just, like, in 2 games, can we really change our...
We are 3 points ahead of the Ottawa Senators.
Okay.
So, if
in theory,
we lose out,
if we lose out and they win out,
and they win 2,
right,
then we could bump up to 7th and have 6.5% odds. We're sitting at 6% odds right now. So that 0.5% really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But
sure.
Do you want to talk about this Devils game? Maybe talk a little bit about the Rasmussen Renaissance. Continue to talk a little bit about Veleno.
Yes. I mean, Rasmussen, man, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We went on a little bit more in depth on him. But, I mean, I've kind of liked what I've seen the second half of the year. And, like, I think that he could very legitimately carve out a role to be that, like, big body kind of, I don't know, stand and bang, like, fourth line center.
Stand and bang.
You know what I mean? Like, he could be a physical, just, like, big body to, grind down low. I think that's a very real possibility. And if he keeps playing like he has, like I said, the last second half of the season, I'd say since the All-Star break, and or maybe even takes a little bit more of a step forward, I think that's a very real possibility and something that every team needs. So, like, why not?
Well, the thing, too, about Rasmussen, nothing that he could do at this point in his career, and I'm going to preface with this. I want to get the negative thing out of the way first so I can talk about his positives. Nothing he can do at this point in his career is going to make up for the fact that he was taken at 9th overall. Correct. Because he's at his peak, even though he's playing increased minutes right now and he's playing relatively well. We've seen a little bit of an uptick in his production. He's at his core bottom 6 center. He's an effective bottom 6 center, and he's pretty good on the penalty kill. But that is his peak. That being said, we have seen that uptick in production lately. He had 2 goals this weekend, one of which was a empty net goal. The other one was a nice little wrist shot. But he's starting to use his body a little bit more. And one thing I found out this weekend, and I don't know, it doesn't really go that far other than to show his defensive capabilities and responsibilities. He is 9th in the league in blocked shots with, I believe, 57. If I'm just going off the top of my head, I believe that was what it was. So he is responsible in the defensive zone, and that's where a guy of his size and his skating ability is supposed to thrive. So I've definitely been enjoying seeing Rasmussen play a little bit up, because while I don't think Rasmussen is going to, in the end, be some kind of cornerstone piece of this roster, I think he can carve a little bit of a niche role for himself going forward. And again, none of that's ever going to make up for the fact that he was a 9th overall pick. Anytime you take a guy in the top 10, you hope for a guy rather that can provide a little bit more offense. But
yes, absolutely. I will say he didn't draft himself top 10.
Exactly. He's far and away, he is far from a useless hockey player on this team. He definitely has a role on this team. So I just hope that he can continue to play well and make himself a solid production level player at the 3rd and 4th line and continue to be good on the penalty kill, because that's Michael Rasmussen's likely role, and he can carve himself a little niche on this team if he continues to play well in that role.
Absolutely. Like I said, I mean, every competitive team, every team, period, needs a bottom 6 grinded out center. And if he can provide that, and Lord knows we need some center depth on this team too. I mean, why not? I mean, put him at wing too, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just, big body, bottom line forward. If he keeps up the production, there's nothing that says that he can't do that for a long time.
Yeah, and then Tyler Bertuzzi had his 29th goal this season on an empty net goal. He's got 2 games left.
He's going to hit 30?
It's going to be tough. He's got 2 games left. And I think he might only have 1 game left. Correction. Because I think...
was one of them in Canada?
I think one of them's at Toronto, because they switched those during the COVID. So he has... Am I wrong? Oh, you know what? I don't think he can. I think the Red Wings only have 1 regular season game left. And I think it's against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me double check on this, but I think that can't be right. Am I wrong? Have I been wrong this entire time? I mean, it's pretty frequent that I'm wrong, so that's surprising. Let's be honest here, guys.
Man. The Detroit Red Wings, no, we play at Toronto. And then we Friday, April 29th, we do at New Jersey.
So he's got 1 more game left. For some reason, ESPN's only showing the Maple Leafs as, I guess it's only showing the next game, but they show all the previous games. So that's why it threw me off.
There was so many reschedules too. Like one of those might be like the Devil. I don't know.
So yeah, he has 1 game against the Devils in New Jersey to get his 30th goal of the season. And it doesn't mean much, but it'd be nice to have 2 30-goal scorers on this team. It'd just be like a nice little thing to hang your hat on. Again, this team's not really fighting for anything. So at this point, we're just like the little things is what we're focusing on. The little things. Because this team, I mean, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
When we talk about Joe Veleno and the fact that he's been a relatively effective guy at first line center, he's gotten a ton more minutes. He's like averaging like 16 minutes a night since Dylan Larkin went down. That's way more than he's used to. And he's actually been effective with Tyler Bertuzzi and Lucas Raymond on his wing.
I agree. And that will be, I personally think Joe Veleno is one of the biggest storylines going into opening night this fall. I think that his production and how big of a step he takes forward next year is easily one of the biggest storylines on the entire team, because we know that Raymond's going to be good. We know that Seider's going to be a star. We know what we have in everybody else. Veleno is in this weird position where he's been up and down for a season and has shown some signs of life and had some stretches where he's been pretty below average.
Yeah. I mean, remember we were having that conversation at the start of the season. We were like, he's NHL ready. And then he didn't play very well. And we were like, is he NHL ready? Like, we backtracked on our statement. I think
his production next season will be one of the biggest storylines in the entire organization. And because if he turns out and can give you second or third line, like solid center minutes for a competitive team, I mean, that would be a huge win for the Detroit Red Wings. And so I think it's nice to see him holding his own at the top, because I think next season is going to be a really, really big year for him.
I absolutely agree. It's going to really determine what he is capable of. If he's capable of holding on at the NHL level. Also, Scotty, I do have to mention it. We got an Oli Ulevi appearance.
We did.
And guess what?
Did.
His expected goals for percentage in this game. Oh, I accidentally closed the tab. Oh, no. It was like 64%. I accidentally closed the tab just now. But he, again, was nothing but a positive asset to this team. I'm looking at the hockey stat cards right now. I'll throw it up real quick. I know we got to wrap this game up. But, he was just barely a negative impact off.
Did this work last time, by the way?
I didn't get any comments saying it didn't, but I did not check.
Okay, fair enough.
But he's a middle of the pack there, but look at him. He's providing. So I hope that in the next 2 games we continue to see a little bit of Oli Ulevi. I'm rooting for him, man. The guy's a former top 10 pick himself.
Yeah, again, at this point in the season, why not?
Where's my Magnus Hellberg start? I want one.
I think everybody wants it at this point.
I don't understand why the Wings signed him.
He would forever be cemented in Red Wings lore if he just started like the last game of the season
and got a shutty.
And if he could do anything, it doesn't even matter. If he started 1 game for the Detroit Red Wings and it was the last game of the season, he would instantly be like Red Wings trivia night and it just integrated in the lore of the team. People would be like, yo, remember that goalie we brought in and made 1 start? That was sick. With the sick pads that, he needs to.
It's a crime against humanity if he does not get to at least play a little bit in net with those amazing pads.
I agree. I completely agree.
Oh, shoot, man. We're already at 31 minutes. We had such a busy weekend with all these games and the Simon Edvinsson signing. Real quick. Alex Nedeljkovic got a 17-shot shutout. Wasn't really challenged much in that game. Still great to see, I believe. It was a Red Wings record. Most shutouts by a rookie. I believe.
Yeah.
That was an NHL record. God dang it, man.
He's still rookie eligible.
Red Wings rookie. But yes. So good for Alex Nedeljkovic. Boost that save percentage up, buddy. I know you got pelted in a relief appearance against the Penguins the night before. So he deserved this little 17-piece shutty.
Absolutely, he did. He deserved it just for what he's gone through the entire season, honestly.
He deserved an easy night like that. That Devils game, we didn't really talk much about the Devils game overall. Not a lot of offense in that game.
Not a lot of anything in that game.
It was
not a lot of action.
Meh. It was a meh game.
Both teams had, 20 or less shots? It was just not...
The Red Wings had 22 and the Devils had 17. And if you look at the 1 goal that was the actual genuine difference maker, it was Oscar Sundqvist taking advantage of a Devils turnover right in front of their own net. It wasn't even a sick player and anything. He just he saw a turnover and he took advantage. I mean, but not to discount what Sundqvist has done. I mean, out of the 2 players we got back in the Leddy trade, I was more excited for Jake Wallman than I was for Sundqvist because we thought we knew what Sundqvist was when Wallman had sheltered minutes. Out of the 2, Sundqvist has played much better. He's actually been pretty productive, so I've been fairly happy with what we've gotten out of him. I'd love to see a little bit more out of Jake Wallman. He shows flashes of offensive brilliance from the back end, but man, does he needs to learn a little bit about his defense.
A little bit.
A defenseman needs to learn how to play defense.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think I just hit really quick, hit all the bullet points there.
Yeah, no, I think that's everything we want to cover.
We had so much to cover in today's episode. A little shout out. Your boy Bo Brisk did get a start past weekend, and he looked pretty good for a first
I was
debut
impressed.
start.
Yeah, I talk about it on the show today. I was impressed. I mean,
shout out Locked On Tigers.
Oh yeah, shout out Locked On Tigers. No, he. I mean, look, man, he only gave up 3 hits. Those 3 hits were all just cranked. So I was pretty impressed. Outside of those, well, the 2 home runs and just 3 hard hits in general. Outside of those, I mean, he really did look really well. The changeup was, as we've all seen it since he was in Double-A. I mean, it was a really good outing, and I think it's a really good first outing to build off of because he's cutting down home runs away from having a stellar debut, and I think we're already really close there. He's a dog, man. He's
underrated
a dog.
Prospect for sure. Definitely was a little bit in the shadow of all those top MLB prospects the Tigers had in their pipeline. But was he the guy who was like pitching prospect of the year or something like that?
He was Tigers minor league pitcher of the year last season. Yeah. I got to interview him after he got the award last year. It was super cool.
Nice flex.
Yeah. One episode.
Any final thoughts, bro?
Miguel Cabrera, greatest Tigers hitter you've ever seen, and I don't care how old you are.
Fair.
That's it. We ball.
We'll be back with a game preview on Tuesday. Tuesday's episode. Guys, it's 12, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm a little bit mixed up. I had a long day. So, yeah, I'll just say instead, we'll be back with you tomorrow.
There you go.
Same time, same place. To your team every day.
Every day. BetOnline.